Girl on a Train, 2016. The film stars Emily Blunt as a woman called Rachel, and she's recently been divorced and she's facing quite a lot of difficulty in her life. She's starting to really struggle with problems, and one of them is alcoholism. She drinks a lot, but she also perhaps has rejection sensitivity disorder. I'm not sure, but it seems like that the way. I mean, it's natural when you split up with someone. Not that I've really had the experience, but I can imagine when you get rejected, people do get very upset with the situation they find themselves in. Um, so that's her situation, but there's Megan, um, and we get to see her. She's like the mistress of self reinvention. That's how she sees herself, and she's a bit isolated from people or judged, it seems, from some of the early scenes. Um, she's a nanny for the ex um, that left Rachel. Um, but there's this extra elements to the missing plots. The thing about it is, we find out that there's Anna, who is Rachel's ex is called Tom, and now Tom is going out with Anna, and um, she seems a bit scared of Rachel because Rachel's got this fixation on Tom, but also Anna. I mean, she's angry with Anna, and so that gives a sort of dynamic and an uncertainty that we find out more as the film goes on where that leads to, but it gives that sort of message of uncertainty about, do we think um, what happens to Megan as she goes missing? And do we think that Rachel's been involved in that? Um, so this, the other thing is, of course, if Megan's a mistress of reinvention, maybe she's just started a new life somewhere else. There's a few little dynamics that you get at the start of the film. I saw this film in 2016 and I just watched it in one go. Um, I've now seen it on streaming, and it's easier when you pause and you go to the key scenes and you think, what is really happening here? Because there's still layers of uncertainty, but it does become clearer than when you have to see it as a linear film in the cinema. Now, when I first saw it in 2016, a friend didn't like it. She said it was, um, I think she was going through a bit of a anti. Uh, sh- I mean, she didn't particularly like what she thought of as chick flicks. And I've got a few friends who are a bit like that. I've got other friends who very much like chick flicks. But this friend liked action films and stuff like that, which I've gone through phases of liking different films, so I understand it. But um, I do try and see a whole wide range of films, and I just go, I don't dismiss out of hand a particular genre. That's how I feel. I mean, my friend might see what my film taste is totally different. But, there's, Rachel harking back to her old life, and she's full of resentment, and she just won't let go. She's really obsessed. I mean, every time she catches a train every day, so she gets to see the scene out of the train window of this house. And she sees a man and a woman kissing, and it's not her ex. Is it two doors up? Yeah, it's the house two doors up. And of course, houses in America aren't always like like odd numbers and even numbers. So two doors up, so it's 13 or 15 on the same street. Um, and the overall, because she's sort of like um, so obsessed, she gets off the train sometimes at this particular town, and she goes through the tunnels and visits this area, and it does feel like it might be a unhealthy obsession, and I can see why that's slightly irritating. Like, I could see that from my friend's point of view, why she might not like it. And one thing about now seeing it on streaming, I also got to see what people had scored it on IMDb and on Rotten Tomatoes, and both were relatively low scores. The tomato was splat, it was like 44, and IMDb was 49. And so I thought this was really interesting. I was wondering, what was it about this film? And I couldn't really remember all the details from when I first saw it. But now, going through it, watching it a lot more carefully, I thought Emily Blunt's acting is great. I don't think it's that. I think it's more maybe the overall storyline and the playing about with the characters. I mean, it's a mystery, and sometimes playing with characters and playing with a mystery can be a bit gratuitous. It can be like, oh, come on, is this really necessary? I mean, we get all the flashbacks gradually. I suppose I'm reminded a bit of It Ends With Us last year. Um, And that's got a stronger theme of malevolent male violence, but this film, there's that, but there's also Rachel's behaviour, and that does seem a bit suspect because she's, like, shouting after Anna, she's getting really angry with Anna, she goes into a pub and she writes in lipstick on the wall, and she encourages another woman to shout about Anna, and it does feel like, yeah, if these were witnesses, because this woman's gone missing, and also because she doesn't seem to recognise, she sort of Megan looks a bit similar to Anna, and that's another confusion. So the fact that when a detective comes along, played by Alison Janney, looking into the missing persons case, the reason Rachel's, I suspect, is quite clear because she does seem obsessed, and I could see the point of view of that detective, and yet there's that sort of, is it societal misogyny? Is it that we just take we're ignoring all the patriarchal aggression, the toxic masculinization, all those sorts of things that are becoming more and more clear with more recent films. I think it's becoming clearer to society as a whole. I mean, in UK, we've had Adolescent, and it's been such a talking point. It was less so in 2016. I mean, this was before Me Too and a lot of other stuff. So I think gradually our society's changed and we question a lot more. It's like there's a lot about the collective psyche of people that comes up and probably could be analysed in the films we watch, how things change and how we can jump to conclusions or maybe not. And maybe, and sometimes that's where it's helpful to see an older film and think, has my attitude changed in the 9 years since 2016 or the 8.75 years since it was October 2016. I remember really clearly when I saw it that time of year. I'd just been on a trip to Birmingham when I saw it. Um, and yeah, the sort of I love Emily Blunt's acting, her anger, and it's all consuming. It's really strong, and that's why it does feel like she could be. I mean, especially she's also a bit of an unreliable witness. The fact that if she's drunk, it wouldn't really help her case if she was picked up for questioning and actually, well, I'm not going to go into who, if anyone gets charged with anything and what happens about the missing case. I mean, there are scenes in the trailer which might give away a bit more if you really look carefully, but I don't think I noticed it when I first saw it. But the levels of judgment and the sort of uh, there's this suited man who's like following Rachel. She looks behind. She's worried about him, and that's clear. If you're a woman, you often are worried about being followed by a man, but he might just be his commuter going home. What point does it become a real concern? How many corners does he follow you before you really think, oh no, this is dodgy? I remember once when I was with a friend and I noticed we were being followed, and my friend suggested we'd take two turns. So we were doubling back on ourselves. And that's where this guy stopped following us. And that was really clever, I thought, as a way of, making sure. But when you're by yourself, it can be really much more terrifying. And the fact is, Rachel, she's inebriated. It's quite clear she's inebriated. She's going to ALS, Alcohol Anonymous classes, all those groups, quite large groups in New York City, and yet she's more or less resetting because she's drinking. So she's going back to day one again, and she's definitely really struggling. And I've got sympathy with her. And yet I can also sympathise with the other characters, especially like the detective, and some of the men, I mean, like this commuter, well, uh, he might just be going home. But then there's a couple of the other men who are characters in this film who display stronger aggression, and there's a lot of judgment against Anna. And as the film progresses, I felt, this isn't really on, I don't think. And I thought maybe I'm feeling this more in 2025. Now I'm seeing this again than I would have done in 2016. And I don't know. I mean, I haven't checked what I scored this film in 2016, but this time round, I will say I'm going to score it 8.75. I mean, it is. A lot of it's down to the acting. The script, I'm not that sure, and I don't know how I'd compare it with other films. I mean, I thought the acting by like Tom, who's played by Justin Theroux, and Scott, played by Luke Evans, they were both good. Um, and and Anna, played by Rebecca Ferguson, as well. But the whole film threw up a lot more questions, and I'm almost keen to see it yet again, maybe with a friend, just to see what a different friend to the one I saw it with in 2016, just see how this friend reacts when we see the whole film and, you know, what her thoughts about it. I really like to know what other people think of films as well, just so it isn't simply my thoughts on, things and my particular angle on everything. So, if you've got thoughts, do let me know. Please like if you like this review. Um, Thanks for subscribing if you do. Please hit the notification button, and I hope to see you again soon. Yeah, I think Rachel is a problematic character, but she's played well, and characters like that definitely exist in the real world. I mean, I've known people like that, so I think it is fairly plausible. I mean, it's a heavy subject in a way. Missing people are. Oh yeah, I was thinking about Gone Girl at one point, and yeah, it's quite different from that, but it sort of prompted me to think maybe I should review that soon. Rewatch it and review that. Okay, thanks. Bye for now.